Hi there, and welcome to the Multiply You podcast, where we showcase top experts in their space and reveal all the secrets you need to know to multiply you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Austin Clark here, host of the Multiply You podcast. Really excited to be able to have a really interesting guest on from a company that not only has won a variety of awards, but this last year they won the Startup Company of the Award in Utah. And we'll talk, Cody and I, more about that. But they are really creating a ton of value for their clients through referrals. Perhaps leads that come in that you may not service or is outside of your service area, but someone does. And so they have created very much so strategic alliances and partnerships with other companies in basically all of the markets that are out there, and have created revenue and wealth and an entire, if you will, ecosystem of revenue that didn't previously exist. And so I'm excited to be able to pick Cody's mind and brain about that here in a moment. This episode, as they all are, it's brought to you by my company, Moxie Pest Control. Very excited to be growing. 2022 was our best year yet. 2023 will certainly be our best year yet. And we are looking forward to that growth. A key part of how we've done that has been via acquisition. And so if you are out there and you own a pest control company in any of the markets that you find that we are in too, we're buying. Multiples are at an all-time high. They're definitely coming down. But they're still up there. It's still a great time to divest or start those conversations about what your company looks like, what it may be worth, what payments look like, and how and how you can enjoy the next chapter of your life with a little bit more golf and a little bit less work. Without further ado, Cody Barbour, he is the COO of Baton. His leadership skills and strategic approach have been instrumental in the success of Baton, as evidenced by the recent Silicon Slope Startup of the Year award, which is so cool. He's known for his people-first approach and ability to build a strong team by seeking out individuals with high integrity and complementary skills. With an extremely low churn rate in the short lifetime of Baton, Cody will share some proven tips and tricks as he's found them useful in putting people before all else. Cody, thank you for being here with me and my audience. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on, and I'm doing good. Hope you're doing good as well.
Doing good. This is the only time a guy in Phoenix is doing good as it relates to the weather, and the only time that people in Phoenix brag about being in Phoenix because it's 65 degrees and sunny. But none of your friends that live in Phoenix are bragging in July about living in Phoenix. They're probably actually visiting you up in Utah, where it's a little bit nicer.
Hey, right now it's 20 degrees, and I'm wishing I was in Phoenix right now. So
come down anytime. So you guys, Cody, I want to start a little bit with the backstory. Like, you weren't always the COO of Baton. You had a life before that. If some of my Googling skills have been accurate, Baton's been around for just a year or two. Very new company. Tell us a little bit about what you were doing before that, and what are some of the things that have prepared you to be the COO of a company that is just growing like crazy, like you guys are.
Yeah, great question. So I worked a variety of different jobs. I'm 28 right now, and when I got started with Baton, I think I had turned 26 or something like that. I had just turned 26, and at that point in my life, I had pretty much been working one job per year. It was pretty much like clockwork. I was changing a job a year just because I was running into jobs where I was working for someone, and I just at the end of that year wanted to change of scenery because I got sick and tired of working for that someone, kind of a thing. And I think entrepreneurs have that same thing happen for them at some point, where that light bulb goes off and it's like, I want to do something for myself and work for myself, be my own boss, type of a thing. And so for me personally, I started just trying to think of ideas of what I could do on my own, all the way from like a basketball academy, because I love basketball, to just, like a normal home service company. While I was thinking of ideas, I was sharing them with fellow entrepreneurs that I felt were very successful that I really respected. And one of them was my friend, Phil, who had a business in college that pretty much paid for his college. And as I was sharing my thoughts with him, he basically liked where my head was at. And he was building this idea of Baton. He had done a really amazing job at it, actually, up until this point, and he needed someone else to come in and be a partner with him and help him. And so he approached me about coming on to Baton. And so in March of 2020, I came on with Baton. Oh, sorry, I apologize. March of 2021, I came on with Baton, and it's been a ride ever since. So to just about 2 years, it's coming up on just about 2 years. It's crazy, but it's been awesome.
And so you've been there nearly from the very, very beginning of all of it. I mean, you've seen it go from virtually zero, to totally over the moon.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been an amazing ride. And the best part about it has been the people that we've been able to work with, because we have a very different concept than what most people are used to in the home services industry. And so we really need adopters to a new idea. And that's exactly what we've gotten. We've gotten some amazing partners that we've been able to work with in our customers.
So speak to that, Cody, a little bit more. I mean, what is a little bit different about your guys' approach? I've been in home service for 20 years, and we would like to think that, we have a little bit of a different approach too. There's a lot of different ways to get from point A to point B. But a lot of the home service space is not like necessarily older in age, but just like a little older thinking, a little more paper, a little less iPhone or technology kind of thing, a little crustier. It seems to be a segment that has sort of been ripe for disruption for a long time. And it certainly has, because of different firms like yours and others. But what's a little bit more of your guys' approach to, thinking differently or viewing people in a more human or normal type way?
Yeah. Well, I'll address the problem that Phil really set out to solve. And that was in the pest control industry, you have reoccurring services that happen with the customer. And a lot of companies will lose customers when they move. The customers will cancel because they're moving to a different area that your company does not service. That is a problem that every single company experiences in the United States that's pest control company. And
especially the last 2 years, I mean, people with the pandemic have said, hey, if I can work from anywhere or do anything, we saw, to your point, in our internal books, a lot of cancellations, if you will, cause moving out of service area more than ever the last couple of years.
Absolutely. And my business partner, Phil, he worked at a pest control company called Greenix. And that was one of the things he saw, was that they had these cancellations come in because people were moving, and he wanted to set out to solve that problem. And so that's where the initial idea of Baton was created. And with Baton, it's named that way because think of a track and field baton where you're handing off the baton from one person to another. Same idea here. When you have a moving customer that's canceling on you because they're moving from Phoenix to Sacramento, California, you can now use Baton, which is an online platform, to refer your customer that's been with you for years to somebody in Sacramento that you can trust with your customer, and they will actually pay you for that referral. So yes, you're still losing the customer. However, you're being compensated for referring that, amazing customer to somebody else.
And for a customer that you would have lost anyway, and that many of us for decades have been losing them because there's not been a company or a platform to fill that gap like Baton.
Yep, exactly. So that's where Baton started. Now, moving customer referrals is a little bit of a longer process compared to our other referrals. So a couple of years ago, we pivoted to include daily referrals. And daily referrals are things such as, like, for example, with you at Moxie, you guys don't do wildlife. So if somebody calls into you for a snake, correct, you guys don't do wildlife, right?
Most of our locations do not, correct.
Yeah. So let's say somebody calls Phoenix, has rattlesnakes. Somebody calls into you with a rattlesnake issue. a lot of times you might have to just say, sorry, we can't help you, go Google wildlife removal or something like that. Baton has now included those types of referrals where if you're getting a call for something that you do not do, or maybe you're getting a call for something you do, but it's in a service that you don't go to, a service area that you don't go to, a town that you don't go to, a zip code or whatever, those daily referral opportunities, you can now use Baton to make that referral to a trusted person. They'll pay you for that referral. And vice versa, you can receive referrals from other companies for the services that you do and the towns that you cover. So the pivot that we made a couple of years ago has been instrumental for us. And I think I've given you now the background of Baton, but I think the most important principle coming out of this is with your life, don't be afraid to pivot. We still do moving customer referrals. That's a part of what we do, but is not the major part. The pivot that we made has been instrumental for us.
How about that? And so, the company's been around for about 2 years or so. You guys have certainly had a lot of success and made a lot of adjustments along the way. What have been some of the things that, have there been any major setbacks in the last couple of years, or things that you guys had big aha moments about, or kind of forks in the road where you said, hey, we were going down this road, but we've either made a mistake or find that there's more opportunity here? Well, what have some of those learning experiences been like?
Yeah. I think the biggest pivot was what I just described, where we were spinning our tires with moving customers. And to go a little bit more into the problem, moving customer referrals usually take a couple months to go through because the customer is usually canceling on you guys a month or two before they move. And then they don't necessarily want to think about who their new provider is going to be in their new area until they're actually there. When they're there, the problem's there. And so they want to get that problem solved. So we first fixed that by making sure that they're referred after they move. But we really wanted that daily traction, that daily revenue. And so that's where Bill really masterminded this idea to have these daily referrals come through with your calls that are unqualified type of a thing. Outside of that, that's been the major, turning point for us. We've really had to get comfortable, switching gears here. We've had to really get comfortable with trusting, employees, hiring employees, things like that. I think as entrepreneurs, you really want to have your control of things. You want to be involved with everything, but as you get bigger, that's just not possible. And you can really bottleneck your company, whether you're a pest control company or a tech company like what we're building. You can really bottleneck your company if you try to control everything. And so we about a year ago had to make the decision, A, to hire in mass, and then B, to trust the people that we were hiring and give them the opportunity to really run with the responsibilities and tasks that we gave them.
So before we kind of went live, we talked about different ideas or thoughts as it related to success, and that may look different to different people. What does that mean at Baton? Because I get a vibe that it's not just top line revenue for you guys or profit or what have you. It seems like there's a much stronger ethos there and purpose and what you and the team are looking to be able to accomplish. Can you speak to that?
Sure. On Baton, speaking from Baton's perspective, I would say success is in two ways. So internally with our people, we want to make sure that coming from Phil and I, we have come from situations where we necessarily didn't like, I'm speaking more for myself here, came from situations that I didn't like working for people and I didn't feel valued and whatnot. So we want our people who work for us to enjoy their lives. We don't want them to wake up in the morning hating their life that they work for Baton. You know what I mean? So internally, we would measure success as just the what's going on. Everybody uses culture. I feel like it's a cult term now. But I really want to get a vibe from my employees that they know that they're cared about. And I know that there's this big debate right now about separating personal life from business life, but the reality is in my belief, they always are going to be intermingled. And so the true success for us is making sure that we are keeping our employees, because we spend a lot of time and money, resources training employees on how to do their job. Might as well keep the ones that are really making an impact in your organization by making sure that they know that they're valued, each and every one of them. So that's the internal success, is making sure that employees are happy and good and all that. Externally, I would say, like, we want to be known in the industries that we work with as problem solvers. We're truly not, we obviously care that we get revenue because we need to put food on our table, right? But the putting food on our table will figure itself out if we're out there genuinely just trying to fix people's problems. So a lot of the features that we have put into Baton the last couple of years have been put there because we're constantly asking questions to our customers about how can we make their experience better? What are the problems that they're seeing on a daily basis with maybe things related to Baton, but maybe things that are not related to Baton. And if it's not related to Baton, then we can try and make connections to help them solve their own problem, type of a thing. I truly believe that if we're just in a community of helping each other out, that things will take care of themselves. So we've really, in terms of success, financially, we're becoming successful in the world's mind, and I think that's in large part to the successes that we're having with our clients. They know that we care about them. They know that we want to make a difference in their lives. The best thing that I've had in the last 2 years is one of my clients who maybe had one or two texts, maybe it was just themselves, saying, "You made a fundamental difference in my life. I've been able to put food on my table, and I've been able to hire 3 techs." That makes you feel so good about your life.
And doesn't that make the hair on the back of your neck stand up? You know what I mean? And just that's what it's about right there.
Absolutely. Yeah. That gives meaning to a day.
So back to then internally at Baton and your internal clients or employees, if you will. I heard, we want to make sure that they feel cared about. We want to make sure that they don't hate their jobs. We want them excited to be able to, you don't necessarily believe or buy into the work life, home life balance. It's always going to be intermingled, period. And I happen to agree with you, by the way. But how do you do that? And as you're kind of maybe gathering your thoughts about that, I'd like to share a couple of instances. And I don't know if they're right, wrong. I do the best that I can to read as much as I can on topics that are important as it relates to business and work and those sorts of things, and listen to podcasts and pick other people's brains that are much smarter than me, which is basically anyone that you just see on the street. But we have focused a lot. I like data. I love numbers. And, there's a framework that we kind of subscribe to, if you will. It's ENPS, which is your Employee Net Promoter Score. The same side of the same, or the different side of the same coin is your Net Promoter Score, which is for your clients. And basically, there's a array of questions, I think maybe 10 or 12, that you rank from 1 to 10 to say, hey, and really there's only one that matters. And that question, and I'll say it twice because if people are taking notes or they need to rewind us, it's important. It is, how likely are you, either the employee or customer, to refer your friend or family to this customer? So how likely on a scale of 1 to 10 are you, as the employee or customer, are you to refer your friend or family to this business for their services? 9 and a 10 is a promoter. 7 and 8 is like kind of neutral. Anything below 7 is what you call a detractor. And so there's this formula that's super complex that will give you your employee net promoter score. And so when you and I get emails from Apple or Google or these large companies asking about how likely we are to refer, it's because they're smart and they're subscribing to that sort of framework, and they want to know, are they likely to refer? Are they promoters, neutral, or detractors? And then it kind of gives you a laundry list of things that do employees feel listened to? Are they solicited? I hate that word. Are they asked or queried, if you will, for their ideas or thoughts? Do you have, and it can be archaic, as a suggestion box that management reviews once a week or whatever? Hopefully it's like a digital thing and not actually a physical box. And there's more types of questions. And so as we do that normally 2 times a year, then we kind of segment it by our field people and our management and our office people and our sales people. And then, we get our giant big cumulative number that can be up to positive 100 or negative 100. And it will kind of let us know where we are. And we can say, hey, it looks like we're the weakest in the field. And it looks like we're the weakest in the field in these 3 categories. This is what field care manager we're focusing on for the next 6 months. People need to feel like they're more listened to. How are you going to do that? Hey, it looks like we're the strongest amongst management. Congratulations, management, but don't be, resting on your laurels and feeling too confident about yourself. We're still struggling in these 2 or 3 categories. We're going to pick these 2 because they're the lowest. How can we go about improving? And so that got really boring and really technical for a second. But those are kind of frameworks that we use to be able to take the temperature of our customers and our employees. And it's kind of like the chicken and the egg. Like, well, do you focus on the customers or do you focus on the employees? It's like, in my mind, I think it's 100% employees, because if employees feel all the feels and those sorts of things, right, then that hopefully, and it will, trickle down to your clients, and they will reciprocate by being good clients, referring, paying their bills, providing capital for you to grow the company, that sort of thing. And so I just wonder, Cody, if there's like specific things that you guys have done. I mean, because I think everyone's trying to figure this out. The pandemic just jacked everything up and messed a lot of to use the C word again, the culture word again, right? Like it's like, hey, everyone's remote. And now the last 3 months, it's like everyone's getting laid off and everyone's butt is getting back to the office. And I don't know if that's good or bad or whatever, but I mean, is it enough to bring lunch in on Fridays for the team anymore? And that's how we show employee, gratitude and those sorts of things. But I've rambled long enough. What are some of your thoughts?
No, I have some thoughts off of that. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. I remember you talking about that at your book launch, which, by the way, guys, if you have not bought the E-Myth Pest Control Business, you should definitely do that. There's your shameless plug right there, right?
Thank you.
But I remember you going over that breakdown and using those survey questions. So we have not implemented that, but we definitely should and need to. But for example, like last week, I was tagged in a Instagram post by one of our employees, just saying how grateful they were to work here and that we accepted them with their problems and all of that. And that was, again, that's a measure. That's a measure of success. That's a flag of success right there. If you got employees tagging you, just saying that they're grateful, and this person is not like, a suck up, for lack of a better term. Like, it was just a genuine post, and it was awesome to see. I wanted to ask a follow-up question, because yes, it got a little technical, but I think surveys and assessments like that are really needed. Are you guys doing that anonymously? So like each employee has to put their name down, or where they don't have to put their name down, or are you doing it where each person?
Totally anonymous. We want raw, unadulterated feedback, whether it's painful to read or not. And our thought behind that is that if employees, perhaps even like newer ones, we are required to put their name, then maybe they wouldn't be as forthright or truthful, or fear of, I was critical of the company, and so they're going to be more critical of me, even though that's not the case. We just wanted to remove that. It's totally anonymous.
Cool. That's awesome. I think that the question that you highlighted is absolutely accurate in terms of, would you refer somebody to us as, to come work as an employee or to be a customer, right? And that one question, you hit the nail right on the head there. Gives you that'll give you the insight that you need to know for your business, and how the C word culture is if people like you, and if you have traction, type of a thing. The creator of Marriott, the hotel brand, said that you mentioned the whole thing about taking care of employees, and then they'll take care of it. He literally said they call their employees associates. Take care of the associates, and the associates will take care of the customers. And so just take that principle going forward. If you're a manager or a business owner at your place, make sure that your employees you obviously want to have good people with integrity and ethics and whatnot, but take care of your people, make sure that they know you care about them, and then they will reciprocate that same energy to the customers. They will stop and talk to Mrs. Jones about her dog dying last week, or whatever, and Mrs. Jones will then make sure that she uses you guys for the rest of her life, type of a thing. That's a really good principle that you shared. I had a thought, but man, I lost it in terms of our business. I apologize.
No, it'll come to you here in a second. Something that you said made me think that it is a super teeny tiny thing that we do, at least in Phoenix. But when our people in the field or our people on the phone like hear of something, someone's getting married, someone passed away, something really positive, something not so positive, like finding out a loved one is diagnosed with a illness or a terminal illness. And we're not perfect. It doesn't happen every single time. But when someone feels that person could use a little bit of a pick me up, we have a stack of, foot tall of thank you cards or condolences or happy birthday or congrats on the 50th anniversary, wedding anniversary or whatever. And then we send it around and we have 40, 50, 60, 70 people sign it. And it takes no time. It costs $2.89, plus a stamp, which is probably really expensive now with inflation. And then they get that. And I can't tell you, Cody, like the positive feedback that we've got. Almost everyone emails back, calls back. I can't believe my pest control company, and it's not the company, right? It's like that individual on the phone or that individual in the field took the time to be able to say, hey, I think this person could use a little bit more than us taking care of their ant problem or whatever it is. And I don't know how that affects our top line or bottom line. It probably is like negligible, but that's some of that feel good stuff to be able to make a positive difference in someone's day that could really use it.
Yeah. I used to, a while ago, I used to work for Marriott, and they do something similar. That they have at Town Place Suites, that one of their brands, they have cards called Just Because cards. So if, they see a customer come in and they want to compliment them or whatever, they have these literally pre-made cards, and you can just write a note on it, and you can either stick it under the door at the hotel or whatever, or give it straight to the person once you've written the note on. It makes a world of difference, 100%. You were right. I did think of what was on my mind about our company in terms of taking care of the employees. I meet with each of my employees once a week, and sometimes twice a week, depending on the employee or whatnot. But having those the subject matter of the conversation is nothing to do with their work. I'm asking how they're doing. I'm asking about their lives and whatnot. And if they want to bring up work, we'll talk about work. If they want to bring up the struggles with work, let's talk about it. Let's hammer those out. If they want to bring up the successes, sure, that's great too. Let's talk about those. But the whole entire point of the 15 or 30-minute meeting is to talk about them. Yes, that 15, 30 minutes is not a ton of time. Some people would love to meet with their managers for an hour or so. But the reality is if you're taking time out of their day, out of your day, to address them as a person and get to know them on a personal level, it makes a huge difference. And really delegate that, right? So if you have an organization where you have managers and people under those managers, you don't necessarily need to do it with the people under the managers. Make sure the managers are doing the one-on-ones. It's made a world of difference for us, and our employees will go to bat for us. They will run through a wall for us because they're seeing that we're doing the same thing for them.
I love it. Cody, thank you so much for your time and insights that you've shared. I definitely want to give you the last word. We're here at the beginning of the year. It's February 2nd. This will probably drop in a month or two. What is, from your perspective, what's the outlook on 2023? How are things looking at Baton in 2023? Is it a record-breaking year? Are you buying into the headlines of the recession? Do we get one more good year in before that happens? Or what are some of your thoughts about what this year looks like for everybody that's kind of in our space, home service, SaaS, that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. You went over a lot of topics there, so let me try and address all of them there. But I think the pest control industry is one that is blessed, because the reality is even if I don't have a lot of money and I see a rat in my house, I'm going to try and do everything that I can to get that rat out. And a lot of times I don't have the knowledge to take care of that rat. I'm going to call a pest control company. So I wouldn't necessarily call pest control companies recession proof, but they're definitely a little bit more durable during a recession than other types of companies maybe. So I don't follow politics a whole lot, and economics. I don't track those things. So I couldn't tell you as an expert that 2023 is going to be a year of recession and whatnot. For Baton, addressing Baton, we really feel that 2023 is going to be an amazing year for us. I actually hired a couple. I work mainly in business development and sales, and I was predominantly doing it on my own up until like 2 months ago. And so I hired a couple of guys that are just amazing, and they're people oriented and as account executives. And so for Baton, we're expecting to really grow. But in terms of closing, I would just say, for each person listening, whether you're a owner, a manager, if you're a technician, whatever, I would ask you to step back and define for yourself what success looks like to yourself. Because for me, I'm a business owner, but I feel like my mindset as an entrepreneur is a lot different than a lot of entrepreneurs out there. A lot of entrepreneurs just want to make their millions and millions and millions, and then just keep working. A lot of entrepreneurs are workaholics, and for me, this is a means to an end for me. My passion is in people, and I want to get into teaching. But the reality is in today's world, teachers don't make a lot of money, and so I would be not being able to put food on the table as a teacher. So my measure of success, my definition of success for me is to be able to get to a point in my life where I can step back, go take a teaching role or a coaching role of basketball, not worry about the paycheck. That's going to be success to me. But for the technician out there, maybe your definition of the success is, hey, I was able to do my route today. I ended my day at 4 p.m. I'm going home. I'm spending quality time with my family. And that is the definition of success. Everybody should step back and realize what they want in their lives, because mainstream media, social media, we get caught up in comparing ourselves, and we're like, oh man, it would be nice to keep up with the Joneses though. But the reality is that I get myself caught up thinking, man, it'd be nice to have that, when in reality that's not even important to me, but social media has convinced my mind that it is. You know what I mean?
So, and we could do a whole other 10 pieces on that and social media. And no, I agree with you. And thank you for those parting words on success and what that means to each of us individually, because it's different. It really is for each individual. How do people finally, Cody, carry on the conversation? What's the best way for people to reach out to you? How do they engage with your company? Could you give us an email, website, or wherever you're active?
Absolutely. So in terms of getting a hold of Baton, you're welcome to reach out to me directly. My phone number is 916-201-2603. If email is your thing, feel free to send me an email. It is Cody, CODY, at batonleads.com, and that's BATONLEADS.com. If you're wanting to just connect on a personal level, you can find me on Instagram, Cody BLDS. Feel free to reach out. I'd love to connect with people. Our website is batonleads.com.
Awesome. Cody, thank you so much. And thank you all of you for listening. These are dropping once a week, so please be sure to subscribe, tune in. We'll have more fantastic guests in the future, just like Cody and his awesome company, Baton, today. Until then, create a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Multiply You podcast. You'll see us again soon when you subscribe for future episodes.